Hello and welcome to InvestorToday.ca. I'm Dave Glover. InvestorToday.ca is brought to you in conjunction with RBL Communications, your online IR professionals. We're coming to you live from the Chicago Resource Expo here in Rolling Meadows, Illinois. It's been a fabulous show so far. It's April 28th. I am sitting with Bill Radvak, who is the president and CEO of American Vanadium Corp. American Vanadium Corp is a mining and exploration company currently developing its Nevada-based Gibellina Vanadium project. A positive feasibility study and updated N1 43-101 technical report on the Gibellina project were completed by AMEC and EC Services in 2011. This world-class vanadium resource represents the opportunity to become North America's only primary producer of vanadium while meeting approximately 5% of global vanadium demand. Bill, welcome to the show. It's a great opportunity to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
So I guess the first question people are going to want to know, if you can give us a quick overview of your projects and your properties.
You summed it up very well there. Essentially, we're all based on that one project in Nevada, the Gibellini, which was first explored in the 50s by Union Carbide and then Arand and Atlas. And so we have essentially the only vanadium project in the United States, which currently imports 99.5% of its vanadium from sources like Venezuela, China, Russia, and South Africa. And historically, vanadium has been important pretty much only in the steel industry. 92% of it is used in the steel industry as a steel strengthener.
Right.
And it's pretty much in every piece of rebar and strength and structural steel here in the United States. Globally, though, still it's well behind in that consumption. So we expect great pressure on vanadium from China, especially as they start to actually build better and better steel.
Right. Now, vanadium makes steel lighter, I understand, right?
Yeah, it makes it stronger, but like 0.05% vanadium content in your steel actually can increase the strength of the steel by 50 to 100%.
Wow.
So you're actually not necessarily looking for the stronger steel, but as you mentioned, that gives you actually the ability to use 30% less steel and maintain that strength,
right,
which is why it's in every aircraft. Now, 1.5 ton of vanadium in each new Dreamliner that's produced, for instance.
Wow. So that's obviously very significant, especially for that industry, because it'll help them to reduce costs to some degree.
Absolutely. In those alloys, vanadium is about 5% of the content, and that titanium, vanadium, aluminum is really regarded as that super alloy that allows them to produce such strong, the ultimate strong, light, corrosion-resistant, malleable, weldable metal.
Well, now, I understand from my research that American Vanadium is developing, and you've already touched on that, the only strategic vanadium mine in the United States. Can you expand a little more on that?
Yeah, it's not necessarily so critical in the steel industry, but where it's becoming very critical is in the energy storage business. And now everybody has finally come to the conclusion that renewable energy is not effective, not efficient without storage. And everybody's calling the holy grail of renewables is having the ability to store the energy, because you're producing the wind and solar energy not when you need it, which is the peak periods.
Right, so you need to be able to store that energy.
Yeah, so people have lost a lot of interest in continuing to produce all these solar and wind fields without the storage. Now, China's actually moved to implement their strategy, which is driving towards 5% of all of their electrical capacity in storage by 2020. So in China, they're actually making that storage work.
Wow.
What's unique is the leading battery for the next 3 to 5, 8 years, everybody's talking about, is a vanadium flow battery. Currently it's lithium ion because there's an oversupply of lithium ion batteries from the lack of sales of the electric vehicles. They're calling that those lithium ion batteries mass storage, but really it's not an effective scalable solution. So the first true scalable, efficient method is called vanadium flow, of which about half the cost is vanadium.
Well, one of the things I understand the company is talking about doing is using that storage technology, that battery storage technology, to actually power your own projects.
Yes, we actually announced fairly recently, because of our operation is fairly straightforward and low on the power needs, we're very easily at low cost able to power it through wind and solar and put in vanadium flow battery. And for us, it's important to actually put our money where our mouth is and demonstrate that vanadium flow batteries with a true microgrid really do work.
Well, you know, and that'll have a fantastic application in mining in particular, because a lot of mining operations are done in areas that are way off the grid, and in order to have that type of infrastructure brought in to have that to power your mines or to power your project, it's quite expensive. And to be able to provide a facility that will store that energy on site obviously is a huge boon to the exploration and mining industry.
Yeah, there's a great number of projects that have not moved forward because of the cost and the time, permitting of of power lines that could be 100 kilometers, 200 kilometers long.
Mm-hmm. And that's quite an expensive outlay of cash for a company.
Expensive.
That's right. Well, can we talk about American Vanadium's maximizing their shareholder value by joint venture?
Right. Our goal is not, the feasibility study has terrific numbers, 43% IRR after tax. Mm-hmm. That's just based on selling the lowest value product into the steel industry. So the bottom line is our project will make a lot of money for the shareholders. But it's our job as management to do something much more strategic and maximize that value. For that same low cost, because we're a sulfuric acid heap leach project, for that same $4 a pound, we can actually produce vanadium electrolyte, which currently is being purchased about $15 to $25. The issue is, if you really want to build a mass storage business on vanadium float, you can't buy it out of the spot market. You can't trust the market because it's very volatile.
Right.
And if half your cost is vanadium, you're going to lose your profit, within months. So you have to have a long-term supply, stable price supply contract. And our job has been out there to work with all the battery companies, let them know about this project, and work towards joint ventures where we actually are offering up that long-term stable supply, yet we want part of that battery business. So our job is actually to help create this mass storage business in the U.S.
Well, you've already touched on it a little bit, but my next question is going to be how, if at all, is American Vanadium utilizing this vanadium battery technology? And as I said, you did touch on it a little bit, but can we expand on that?
Yeah, it's very key. We've proved in the last weeks that we're capable of actually producing that electrolyte, which has quite high standard. So we're able to show that we've hit specs on producing the electrolyte for the battery companies. The technologies generally are offshore, these vanadium flow batteries.
Right.
And so what we're looking for is partners where we actually get involved into the setting up of the manufacturing and marketing and sales of the battery. So we're transitioning the company from a mining company actually to a clean tech company.
Right. Which, a lot of people are looking for what they call ethical funds or ethical investing, things that aren't necessarily damaging to the overall global environment. And this would definitely be one of those investments.
No, we fit. We're using green energy to create a product to make green energy work.
Right. Well, can we talk about your share structure at all?
Yeah. This company IPO'd in 2006 on this project, but because Union Carbide and Noranda and Atlas Mining had drilled it out in past, we didn't actually have to do all that early exploration. Mm-hmm. So our share structure, we have 27 million shares out and have a positive feasibility study, which is really unique. Still well held by the insiders. Two key institutions are Mackenzie Fund, which is the largest resource fund in North America, and Dundee. So we've really strong supporters on the vanadium front. So we actually feel as we move forward now on the business development on the clean tech side, we should be able to hit some real good milestones that will have an effect because of our good share structure.
Well, so we have been talking to Bill Radvak of American Vanadium, which trades on the TSX under the symbol AVC, trades on the OTCQX under the symbol AVCVF, and the Frankfurt Exchange under OUA. As always, I'd like to give the last word to my guest. Maybe you want to put together, if you can, quickly, a case for investing in American Vanadium.
Well, I think I just invite everybody to do their homework. Come to our website. I've been on Bloomberg TV. The story is very appealing through media. We've had a number of interviews and site visits. It's a really strong, cohesive story of transitioning into the clean tech story. We're very comfortable to be able to hit some really strong business development milestones that are going to have a strong effect. Vanadium is a metal that people really haven't heard of much. We're creating that story. We're building this story. and we're leading that story. I think that's going to be really strong for the shareholders in the future.
Well, especially, as I said earlier, if you're into ethical investing and you want to make sure that you're making the right decisions. Again, we've got another case where we've got a great management team, a great project, and as your viewers already know, that's going to equal a great investment. So I want to thank Bill for joining us today. Bill, always a pleasure to see you, and I hope your presentation went well, or it will go well today, I understand.
It went terrific.
And so thank you for tuning in. I'm Dave Glover. We'll see you next time.